Moments ago, I was going to begin with this, but let me bring you some breaking news that we just got from the president. Guys, let's throw it up on the screen here. The president just directly directing his attorney general to end the Mueller probe, the Russia probe. Let me read you part of this tweet from the president. This is a terrible situation, and Attorney General Jeff Sessions should stop this rigged witch hunt right now before it continues to stain our country any further. Patrick Healy, your read on this? Caitlin Collins is tweeting, our reporter, this is a first, that he's directly directing, if you will, the AG to stop it.
Yeah, this becomes a big moment for Jeff Sessions and Rod Rosenstein. They made pretty clear, especially Rod Rosenstein, that the Mueller probe is legitimate, that it should continue, that Robert Mueller should be allowed to do his work. So, you know, the president doesn't see this as interference. He sees it as he can do whatever he wants. I mean, he sort of famously talked about how much President Obama was protected by his Attorney General, Eric Holder. But Poppy, this president has a very unusual, and that's a nice way of putting it, view on how to use presidential power with his Attorney General. And this looks like a real pressure tactic, and it's going to have to be a moment where Jeff Sessions, you know, probably talking to John Kelly, the chief of staff, and others, you know, has to ask themselves, what do they do in response? Do they just hunker down, or do they need to take some kind of action?
When it comes to overseeing the Mueller probe, though, Caitlin, Jeff Sessions recused himself from all things Russia. So, I mean, it's a bit confusing because it would be Rod Rosenstein that has the purview to do that.
Exactly. Rosenstein is ahead of this investigation. And in public comments that Rosenstein has made, he has exuded confidence in this investigation and in the way in which it is going. Remember, he has been at those announcements, announcing those indictments that have come from this investigation. So he is in charge here. And we have seen the president use pressure tactics against his own attorney general in the past. The question has always been, why continue to kind of hang him out there? If you were so concerned about this, why wouldn't you make that step in actually firing Jeff Sessions? And that would be, of course, the unraveling of this investigation, but also creating a whirlwind of political problems for this president. So I think that question is still out there, but I think it's really important to note the way in which Sessions and Rosenstein have exuded confidence when it comes to this investigation and how it's being conducted.
I think, Patrick, for many Americans watching this morning, they might think, yeah, this is nothing new. The president all the time is blasting the Mueller probe, the Russia probe, calling it a witch hunt, calling out his attorney general. Why is this different?
Well, he's basically sort of delegitimizing our system of government in terms of how we go about approaching presidents who have had either credible allegations or there's information that needs to be investigated independently of the president's own administration. You know, Jeff Sessions recused himself. Rod Rosenstein is running this. And while, you know, folks may look and say, oh, President Trump is maybe the Paul Manafort trial is underway. He's seeing the coverage. It inflames him. You know, he sends out a tweet. You know, that's just his style. That's not quite the right way to see it. I mean, the right way to see it is this is a president who is exerting pressure on his Justice Department, as he has now for many months, but not willing to go the extra step and actually fire Jeff Sessions. It creates this sense of sort of chaos and uncertainty and where things stand, but also just delegitimizing or trying to delegitimize, the independent counsel.
And I think, Caitlin, it goes beyond just trying to delegitimize. It goes to, how do you view the Justice Department as working for the American people or working for you? Is it about loyalty to you, the president, or loyalty to doing the right thing for the American people? And there's a new tweet that just came in from the president. We're working on getting it up, but let me read you part of it. He's talking about Paul Manafort, and this is the first time we've heard from him on Manafort since the trial kicked off yesterday. He writes, quote, "Why didn't the government tell me that he, Manafort, was under investigation? These old charges have nothing to do with collusion." The government has zero responsibility, Caitlin, to tell the president that the guy who ran his campaign for 5 months is under investigation, right?
That's right. I think what we've heard from the president as it relates to this whole legal standing with Paul Manafort is he's tried to make the argument, well, Manafort worked for other Republican candidates as well. He wasn't just hired by me. That doesn't, however, negate the fact that Paul Manafort is under all of this legal scrutiny
But him
right
calling
now.
out, Caitlin, him calling out the Justice Department and saying, why didn't the Justice Department tell me? I mean,
Right.
why should the Justice Department tell him when it's tied to his campaign?
Exactly. And Paul Manafort was, as much as Giuliani and others tried to say that Paul Manafort wasn't a big part of this campaign, he was the campaign manager. He guided the campaign through that arduous delegate process that we all covered. He was very much a big part of that campaign for several months. And we have seen the president denigrate the Justice Department to the extent that the public responds to it in the way that Trump does. We've seen the negative polling from the public as it relates to, especially among Republicans, as it relates to the Justice Department. And that is a really startling and quite dangerous development.
Patrick, final thought on these two big developments from the president in just the past 2 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, we came into this. The president is looking at going out on the campaign trail a lot this summer and fall. He's going to Ohio on Saturday. He was in Florida last night. I mean, he is going to beat this like a drum. He is in some ways running against the American government. You know, he's not on the ballot this fall, but he is using Twitter, he is using his language to sort of create uncertainty about his own Justice Department, but it's also the Justice Department, raising concerns that the intelligence agencies, the FBI, others aren't doing the work, in a credible way for the American people. And it is corrosive, Poppy. It has that effect over time. And I just think this fall, President Trump's not on the ballot, but in a way he's running against these American institutions and just trying to whack them over and over again to inflame the base to make sure they turn out.
Patrick Healy, Caitlin Huey-Burns, thank you for being here and for the quick pivot on that breaking news.